Hi, I'm Dave Deacon and welcome to OKLApreneur. If you're interested in building a business in our great state and want to learn from Oklahomans who have done it, you're in the right place. When it comes to building a business, every entrepreneur has to have product knowledge, a positive outlook, and passion. Coming up, we'll talk to an OKLApreneur in Stillwater that takes his intensity to the next level.
We are passionate. We're passionate about people first, and we're passionate about people moving their bodies second, and then we're passionate about offering something that is spectacular, you know, and not in any way comparing that to other people, but then you forget sometimes about the structure.
OKLApreneur is made possible by these sponsors who believe in growing Oklahoma through small businesses.
We are Oklahoma's electric cooperatives, powering the needs of new generations with safe, affordable, reliable, and environmentally responsible power.
If you've ever met Bobby Wintle of District Bicycles, you know the word enthusiasm is an understatement. He and his wife Crystal moved to Stillwater a few years ago to start a bicycle shop in a town where they really knew no one. There are a few things that stood out to me in our conversation. First, why they even moved to Stillwater. Secondly, how research plays a role in finding a market. And then, why hiring the right people makes stepping away from business for a little family time possible, and why that's essential to the growth of a company. Join me in learning why creating a community of enthusiasts is critical to building a business from an OKLApreneur who has done it. Bobby Wintle of District Bicycles in Stillwater.
So we've had District Bicycles for 8 years. October 27th in 2011 was the day that we first opened, our very first day of operation. And we wanted to open a bike shop that would be comfortable for anyone. Didn't matter, little bitty kids, you know, a professional cyclist could come in and also feel confident for us to work on their bike in the service area. But basically from family to enthusiast to someone just wanting to get into shape or whatever, we wanted a bike shop that was 100% the community's bike shop. So District was why we picked the name. It's a synonym for community. I've said that a lot. I've said it a lot of times, but I really mean it. And that's what we wanted to do. And I think that's what we've been successful in doing.
Tell me about your story getting to this point.
So I was born and raised in Parsons, Kansas, and lived there. I'm born in '85, and then moved from there to go to college in Emporia, Kansas, at Emporia State University, where Crystal, my then soon-to-be wife, was going to college, so I followed her there. We quickly found out that we both had a really deep love and passion for local businesses, local communities, you know, things happening, movement, you know, like connection. And so when we figured that out, we originally wrote a business plan for a coffee shop. And instead of doing the coffee shop, because we felt like that market at the time was kind of oversaturated, she had been into bikes with her dad actually at the time, and they'd gotten me into running as well. And I was terrified of going on a ride with them because the distances sounded so intimidating, 20 miles, 30 miles. I was like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. So they finally got me on a ride, and then, I mean, it was like overnight, like a light switch went off. So in 2006, we started writing our business plan for what then became District Bicycles in 2011.
What all did you put in that business plan? Because a lot of times people think, oh, I just need this, this, and this, but many times it's more detailed.
Well, we knew what we wanted to do, right? Like we knew what we wanted to do. I begged and begged and begged for a job at High Gear Cyclery in Emporia, and I finally got that job and became the manager there after about 9 months. And so we got an inside look, and of course, still being, you know, manager or one of the main salespeople and service people, I was trying to learn every facet, right? And so you still never quite see the entire picture because it's impossible to until you're truly in the moment. But in that business plan, we focused heavily on community involvement, on our vibe, on our aesthetic, on how we would treat people, how we would meet people at the door, when they walked in the door, as they were, who they are in that moment, not put expectations on people to know certain terms or to know what it is that they were looking for per se, right? And so a lot of times bike shops are really intimidating because there's this whole there's this whole entire vocabulary that happens in any sport, right? Any sport or any hobby, anything. So we wanted to eliminate that. We wanted to say, we're here for people no matter what. So we wrote that out in the business plan deeply.
Right.
The community-oriented connection of being a welcoming place. Then also, that shop that I worked for in Emporia was a Trek bicycle dealer, and we wanted to be a Trek dealer as well because we knew the product, we believed in the brand, we believed in a lot of their ethos. So of course I call Trek and just say, hey, we're doing this, we've been writing this business plan, this is what we have so far. We just want to know where you have an open market.
Oh,
and
okay.
so they said immediately, the first words out of their mouth was Stillwater, Oklahoma.
At this point in the story, Bobby and his wife Crystal are moving to Stillwater because a supplier that he knew wanted to get into that market. This is kind of unheard of, but it gave them the confidence they needed to make the move.
Looked into it, we visited, we knew no one here. Had a friend from college who had a girlfriend now, his wife, that went to school here, but that was the only connection, but she was gone already when we came to town, and we thought, this is doable. This is doable. Let's check it out. And so then they sent us all of the demographic work, all of the, they'd done a ton of the research already. That we could have contacted local city governments. We could have contacted different people, the chamber, to gain that information, but they kind of had done all the legwork for us. And so then we took all those numbers, plugged it in, age, income, all of it, growth rate, put that into our business plan, and then that gave us a ton of confidence. And then we were able to use that to open the accounts that we needed to open with vendors.
That's kind of unheard of. I mean, that a product line would say, hey, check out this town. This is where we want you to go.
Right. Yeah. And we were really surprised too. We thought, oh, there's some structure here. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people, they have the passion, right? And of course, yes, we are passionate. We're passionate about people first, and we're passionate about people moving their bodies second, and then we're passionate about offering something that is spectacular, and not in any way comparing that to other people. But then you forget sometimes about the structure, and you forget sometimes about the nuts and bolts that actually have to happen. Our first bike order was 48 bikes, I think, and we moved all 48 bikes by hand from the truck into our original space, unboxed every single one, built all 48 bikes to just look like we had inventory, and you think 48 bikes is a lot, and then when you put it into a 3,500 square foot building, which we were at 712 South Main next to Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory here in Stillwater for 2.5 years before we moved here to this space, 120 West 7th, and it still looked half empty.
Right.
But yeah, there's a ton that goes into it, and what I would encourage anyone that is thinking about entrepreneurship is to not shy away from the nuts and bolts of it, and not shy away from the demographic work, and don't be afraid to ask those questions of, where is an open market, where is an emerging market, where is there activity, where could I potentially be doing a lot of work where the work isn't happening, instead of, because in our minds we thought, oh, North Carolina, huge hot spot for bikes, like maybe they're going to push us there. Colorado, obviously, Utah, Arizona, you think about those places and the markets are burgeoning, and could they use another shop? Portland, Oregon, Seattle. I never ever thought I was going to live in Oklahoma ever in my entire life. I'm from Kansas, but that's how it happened in a college town like Stillwater, growing, vibrant. In my opinion, it needed another shop, and here we are 8 years later.
Bobby said earlier that the name District Bicycles came from an importance of community. In fact, he says it all starts with creating a vibe that anyone at any level of cycling can feel welcome. You can see this in action every Monday evening when he and the Stillwater cycling community saddles up and hits the streets for a ride, regardless if it's light or dark. On these rides, there are cyclists of every skill level, but they all have one thing in common: a love of cycling.
If people don't feel ownership, a little bit of investment of their own into something that they are spending money on, if it's not just a commodity, if it's an extracurricular thing, if it's an extra thing, hobby or a passion, if they don't feel, number one, welcomed there and a part of the moving pieces, then what's bringing them back? And so we're sitting at the bar, We don't actually technically have anything for sale that a traditional bar setting would have, drinks or sandwiches or anything like that. But we also are never encouraging people to come in the door just to buy things.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we have the couch, that's why we have the coffee table, that's why we have the bar. They can sit here, watch us work on their stuff. We only have one stand in the back that's not visible to customers to try and build bikes if all three stands are busy, but we want the majority of the action to be right here.
So many of the folks that we've talked with, they've talked about certain owners having their lane, their expertise. And they're known for this. They handle that. I handle this, and the other one handles this. Right. But when it comes to a husband and wife team, how does that work?
It took us forever.
Yeah,
took us forever to try and figure it. And we still struggle. A ton with it because she's so much better at. She's so much better at making sure the things that have to happen, and I'm so much better at making everyone feel really warm and fuzzy.
Right.
And so we can separate those two things. And I'm also a pretty good mechanic. I think I'm a pretty decent mechanic, and I'm good at building wheels.
Yeah.
But I'm also good at events, right? So I mean, we've been able to kind of divide and conquer where Crystal is the buyer, the overall buyer. I mean, bikes, parts, pretty much everything, all apparel, all things district branded. She's the buyer, and a lot of times I'll overstep and I'll buy some things that don't make sense, and it's like, why'd you do that?
Right.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, if there's a custom wheel build that needs to happen, Tyler or Austin too, I will take care of those things.
Right.
And my lane really, I think, is the customer relations, the event promotion and event growth, and being on group rides. Like now it seems like it should have been so clear and so easy to set these up from day one, but it just wasn't, and that's okay if it's not. And so we've gotten a lot better at kind of staying in our own paths and asking for help when we need it. Then again, we're human. We make huge mistakes still, but it's I would say try and figure out what it is. Write it down. Say, like, what do I love doing? What are the things that we all know have to get done?
Right.
And someone's going to speak up and say, like, yeah, I'll take care of that. Payroll. Like, I don't do payroll. Crystal does payroll because she loves to do it. She's good at it. She's knows who's getting paid what, when, and how. And like, I don't even know when payday is. So it's like, find what you're good at, what you know that you're able to accomplish, and split it up. Just do it.
There are really two types of businesses, service-based and product-based. For those of us in the service world, inventory can be scary, but knowing your customers, community, and what they really need and want takes the guesswork out of purchasing products.
We've always tried to stay really lean, and we know our partners that we are suppliers. We know how and when and where they ship from and when we're going to get things. And so instead of just having everything on hand at once, if someone needs something, we'll just say, hey, like, we'll call you as soon as it comes in. It'll be here in 2 days. Right. X, Y, and Z. If it's over the weekend, it'll be a little longer. But we try our best to stock things that, number one, we think are good quality products, and then also things that we ourselves would use and ride. On any of our daily rides or weekend long rides or big long trips. We try and have things that are relevant, super exciting, and then Crystal seriously works on inventory on a daily basis, checking things, making corrections if she finds a mistake. It's not just one big swath of inventory like once a year or twice a year. Like she's working on it daily, every day.
What advice would you have for anyone, any industry in Oklahoma that says, yeah, I think I want to start a business? What would you tell them?
I would say take a real hard look at what you're doing right now. Why do you want to leave what you're doing right now or whatever path you're on right now? Make those decisions first. Right. Because what you're about to step into is way more work than probably whatever it is that you're doing right now. And if that excites you, and you're like, no, I am hungry to do that, and I'm not sure what the end goal looks like, what it is. I know everyone's goal is going to be different. Maybe they want to start a business to grow it, to sell it. Maybe they want to grow a business to multiply it, to have multiple stores, and to do. Our main goal was to just take care of the customer and build something that this community didn't have previously. And so we don't really have like an exit strategy or an end goal, and I think that's okay. You know, a lot of people would say that's not okay, but I think it's okay because we're just trying to do the best that we can every single day.
Right.
It is way more work than you would ever imagine. It never stops. My phone's the scariest place on the planet. Messages about everything you could ever dream of. I was on a phone call last night at 8:45 talking about turning this 30-year-old bike into a town cruiser for a guy in Tulsa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he's a great customer, so like, of course, I took that phone call, but you have to be prepared to do that. You also have to be prepared to draw the line. Like, sometimes that's not okay. Like, you shouldn't allow yourself to be at work literally 24/7. But at times you're going to feel that way. If you own a business, I mean, that's it. You own the business. There can be issues that pop up at any time. I know it's so cliche to say, but it's 100% true. And people get burnt out really quickly because they'll try and put really, really high expectations on themselves, and they'll try and have, like, you know, growth patterns and analytics. All those things are good and fine. But don't let it get in the way of the day-to-day. And, like, just understand that the day-to-day is wild. It's wild.
One word that would describe your business path would be?
Fun. Yeah. Yeah, fun.
Special thanks to Bobby and the folks at District Bicycles in Stillwater. If you'd like to hear Bobby's entire interview, including how he created an event in the early years of District Bicycles and how they have grown it into a regional destination every spring, check out the OKLApreneur podcast on our website, OKLApreneur.com. OKLApreneur is made possible by our sponsors like the Oklahoma Association of Electric Cooperatives, and we sincerely appreciate their belief in the impact small businesses have in the growth of Oklahoma. Until next time, I'm Dave Deacon. Let's get down to business, Oklahoma.